Welcome to Advanced Mail Merge with Microsoft Word and Excel. This is a recorded webinar that took place months ago, presented by Librarian Senior Selena. I highly recommend that you email me at cybrary@broward.org. That's Cybrary, CYBRARY at broward.org to get the class notes, and it will make this video a lot easier and much more useful if you get the class notes. Attendees will learn how to utilize the Reference Solutions US and Canada Business and Residential Database by Data Axel, formerly known as the Reference USA database. They will also learn some basic Excel spreadsheets and the Microsoft Word Mail Merge feature in order to create labels and letters that can be mailed to potential customers or personal contacts. Basic knowledge of Microsoft Word and Excel is highly recommended. Basic mouse and keyboarding skills are required to be successful. When creating this tutorial, I used computers with Windows 10 operating system and Microsoft Excel and Microsoft Word 2013 and 2016. If you have the newer Microsoft Excel and Word 2019, then the menus should be similar, and you should be able to complete the activity in the video and the class handout without much difficulty. If, however, you are using an Apple computer with a different version of Microsoft Office, the menus will be very different and the activities will be more challenging. And you'll kind of have to find out where things are in your menus because the menus are very different. So please keep that in mind, that this program is primarily for people with Windows 10 operating systems, Microsoft Excel and Microsoft Word 2013, 2016, or 2019. So here's our library website. Now, so this scenario here is, let's say you're a business owner, and even if you're not a business owner or a business professional, and maybe you want to mail out Christmas cards or Hanukkah cards to everybody, Mail Merge is really great for that. So anytime you have to mail out a lot of stuff, it's a really great resource for that. But if you're a business owner and you wanted to, find a list of mailing addresses, we have this great database called Reference Solutions, and you can access a lot of good information that way. So I'm going to show you quickly how to access Reference Solutions and get your own spreadsheet. Now, if you have an existing spreadsheet with names and addresses and phone numbers and stuff, you can already use that existing spreadsheet. But if you need to create one and you need contacts, then this is the way to go for a business person. So I'm going to go ahead and select the research option from the library homepage. And then you'll see we have our list of online resources. So we have business and law. Now, while that loads, I'm just going to remind everybody that I am using Windows 10 operating system, and I'm also using Microsoft Office 2016, but I actually did these exercises for the mail merge on Office 2013 and 2016, and the menus are pretty much the same. Now, if you're using, Office 2019, or if you're using an Apple computer, especially if you're using an Apple computer, the menus may be very different. So just keep that in mind. Well, anyway, let's get back to business and law. And we have Reference Solutions USA, Canada. So what's really great is it has addresses, residential and business for United States and Canada. So you'll see here, they have all these nice little categories here. But for this exercise, we're going to just click on US businesses. Now, how I got here is I went to broward.org/library. So I don't know if, Justin, if you want to put that in the in the chat. Okay, so I'll give everyone a moment. Just remember broward.org/library, which is this site here. And then you would just click on research, business and law. And then it takes like a moment for the web page to load. And then once it loads, you scroll down and then you could select the Reference Solutions. Now, it was formerly called Reference USA, so sometimes I might by mistake say Reference USA, but I'm going to try to stick with a new and improved name, Reference Solutions. But it can be a little tricky because I've known it as Reference USA my entire life. So anyway, and just one more quick note, what's really great about this resource too is they have webinars and the Learning Center. So if you need to learn more features in this database, I recommend checking out the Learning Center. But for now, I'm going to go to US businesses. And don't worry if you miss a step. I will be emailing everybody notes, or if I don't have your email address,
make sure to email cyberry@broward.org. We'll make sure that Justin will put that in the chat at some point, our Cyberry email address. And then I can email you the notes, and I can also email you the bonus part 2 and the file, the Excel file I use for this exercise. So I'm going to click on the advanced search tab. So quick search really is good if you just wanted to look for one particular business. But if you needed a spreadsheet with mailing addresses, you would want to go here to the advanced search, and then you could select keyword with the SIC and NASDAQ, and also I'm going to go with the city and state. Now you can do a search by zip code or metro area or street address, whatever your preference. But for this exercise, I'm just going to do those 2 options. You'll see that we have over 15 million results. So that's a little too many results going on there. So we got to narrow that down. So I'm going to go ahead and search for banks. So let's pretend we had an IT company and we wanted to promote our service to banks in the local area. I would type in the name of the business I'm looking for. So it could be banks or whatever you want. But for this exercise, I'm just going to go with banks. And then I select it from the code there because I don't know all these stock market codes. And then you'll see here I have banks, and it has the code next to it. And then I'm going to scroll down here. And if I wasn't sure what city I was looking for, I could, select the state of Florida, and then it would list a bunch of cities. But in this case, I know that I'm looking for Fort Lauderdale, so I'm going to go ahead and type Fort Lauderdale, the full Fort Lauderdale, not the FT. And then you'll see it gives me 2 options, but I'm just going to select Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and then it's here. So that's the select box. So it's only going to search for banks in the Fort Lauderdale city area. And so what I'm going to do now is up there near the top, I'm going to select update count. And now we're down to 120, which is a lot more manageable. And then I'm going to go ahead after doing the update count. You click on view results. Now, don't worry if you're having trouble accessing this database. If you were able to access the link to the Google Docs, it has banks in Fort Lauderdale file, which is what I'm creating right now. So you can always access that file if you're having any trouble with accessing the Reference Solutions database. Now, unfortunately, you'll notice that they have 5 pages here, but they only have about 25 results per page. So if I wanted to select all 5 pages, I would have to click on this Select All button. And just a note for anyone who wants to use more Reference USA in the future, you'll see where it has this little corporate tree thing. That's really cool if you want to find out who the parent company is, if you're not sure who the parent company is for the business. And then I'm going to click on the next button next to the page 1. And again, I'm going to select all to select all the results. And I'm on page 3, and I'm going to do select all to get to the results. I'm hoping everyone's able to access the Google files. If not, please email us at Cyberry, and then we can email you the files after the class. And then I'm going to go ahead and, did I get 4? Nope, I forgot. Select all. And then I'm doing select all again on page 5. So you see it goes, banks A through Wells Fargo. And now that I've selected all 5 pages of the results, I'm going to go ahead and select the download button. You'll notice that they have the download button on the top and the bottom of the window here. So it doesn't matter which one, you just select download. And then this new window pops up. And now they actually have an option to just select the Excel file. So I'm just going to do that. If you're using older versions of Excel, you could select this option, but most people are using, Office 2013 and up. So that Excel option should work. And in this case, I'm just going to do summary. But if you wanted even more details about the specific businesses beyond the address and phone number and the name of the executive, then you could click on detail or custom to customize the list to whatever information is that you need, because they do have a lot of information, like they estimate how many expenditures the business does on particular products and services. So that might be helpful information for marketing purposes. And now that I've selected Excel and summary, I select download records. Now the file usually appears here. You'll see at the bottom of my screen, it says summary, and then it has a 2020 1026. So I could click on that to open the file. And when you download a new file like this from a website or database, you would want to select enable editing. Until you select enable editing, you won't be able to do anything. So I'm going to select enable editing. And now the spreadsheet is open. And you'll see it has a very nice list. So sometimes the executive first name and last name was not available, but it always has the name of the company or business, and it has the street address. It even tells you titles and executive gender when it's available, as well as how many employees and how much their sales volume is, and their phone number, and other information. In the detailed one, you can even get their credit score. Oh, this one has the credit score too. Great. Okay. So you can know if they have a good credit score, which might be helpful. Okay, so the next part, and it looks like if I scroll down here, it looks like there's no empty addresses, which is nice. Occasionally you'll get an empty box. So in that situation, let's say pretend that this row was, empty, didn't have a mailing address, and what we need is mailing addresses. I could right click and then select the delete option to delete the row. But in this case, everything's good, so I don't need to do that. I think I do discuss that in the class notes. Okay, so now that we got our file downloaded, now if I wanted to expand the size, like let's say things were too small, if you go between the A and B and you'll get the double-sided arrows there, and you just double click and it kind of automatically expands it. So remember, if you go between the column titles like A, B, and C, you can expand the size of the columns. So that might be helpful when sometimes you download the spreadsheet. It doesn't look the way you want it to. Okay, so there's one exercise that I do want to do is I want to remove any duplications. So what I'm doing right now is I'm selecting column D, and I'm going to the Data tab near the top between the formulas and the review menus. So in the Data menu here, you'll see there's an option under Data Tools, Remove Duplicates. So you don't want to mail the same letter or document or flyer to the same address, because that's kind of wasteful. They'll be like, I don't need this second flyer. So I'm going to go ahead and select this address column here and then do remove duplicates. And it's going to say expand the selection. And I'm going to say remove duplicates. And then here I have the option. I'm going to unselect all of these and then check mark address. So the address part is the actual street address. So of course there's going to be duplicate cities and states. So I definitely don't want that check marked. And there's definitely going to be duplicate company names because there's maybe several branches of Bank of America and TD Bank and all those banks. So I don't want to select the company name because that wouldn't really help me. So selecting the street address would be more helpful. And I select address and click OK. And then it lets me know that, hey, you had 10 duplicate values and they removed those. And now we have 110 unique values remaining. So that kind of saves some money on ink and labels. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and save our spreadsheet. So I'm going to go to, I don't like the name of summary because a week from now, I'm not going to know what the summary document is about. So I'm going to select File and Save As. And right now it's in my Downloads folder. But if I wanted to, I could browse and place it in my Documents folder. And it looks like it wants to save it as a web page. So just make sure the file type says Save As Excel Word Book. And then I'm going to go here and do banks in Fort Lauderdale. So this could work, for any business owner who wants to market to the other businesses, because other businesses need products too. Now in part 2 handout, it has a bonus section with the tutorial for Reference USA for residential addresses. So, if you wanted to make a spreadsheet for residential addresses, I didn't really want to for this exercise because, this is being recorded and stuff, and I want to have like a bunch of people's personal addresses out. But you could potentially download a spreadsheet of residential individual addresses of homeowners in the Fort Lauderdale area. And then if you wanted to, remember, you can always sort your data in your Excel spreadsheet. So I'm going back to the home ribbon here. And I'm doing A to Z sort A to Z. And then it says, do you want to expand the session? And of course we do, because we want it to make sure that the name of the company is sorted with the address that it belongs to. And then there it is. There wasn't really that many changes. I think for the most part, the address was in pretty much, it was already in alphabetical order. But just so you know, for future reference, if you get a list that's not in alphabetical order, I'll go ahead and close Microsoft Excel. And it says, do you want to save changes? And I'm going to say yes, save. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and close the internet window because I don't really need it anymore. And now I'm back. So this is the copy of the class handout. So I know some people may not have access to the class handout yet, and that's okay. I have it here on the screen, at least for now. And you'll see in the class handout, it goes step by step. So if you missed any steps or you arrived late, you don't have to stress. I got it step by step. Worst comes to worst, I do have the Cybrary email that I check on a daily basis. So you could always email me at Cybrary. Me or my fellow librarian Greg will answer your email and try to help you best we can. You know, if you get stuck or have a problem, but you'll see it go step by step. So it's very detailed in the steps. So don't worry about any steps you missed. Advanced mail merge can be very tricky. So hopefully everybody has some sort of Excel spreadsheet going for them. It works a lot better if you have some sort of Excel spreadsheet. You could use the one that we just created now, or if you were able to access the class handouts, there's one Excel file called Banks in Fort Lauderdale. You could take a moment and download that. So basically what happens is when you open up Microsoft Word, you select blank document, and then you would click on the mailings tab, and then there's another window that pops up and you would select step-by-step mail merge. And then you get the mail merge menu. So I'm going to go ahead and I have to open up a blank document. So I'm opening up the new blank document to start our mail merge. So remember, the mail merge works well depending on your situation. In this example, I'm starting out with labels, but if you have envelopes ready to go and your printer is able to print the envelopes, you could select envelopes instead. Basically, the same steps apply, whether you're doing labels or envelopes. It's just that in the envelope section, you got to make sure you put in the size of the envelope and things of that nature. But for this exercise, I just went ahead and went with labels. But you want to go through the mail merge. Like the labels and envelopes options here and letter option only really works well if you're doing like a small quantity of letters and labels and envelopes. But if you're doing a larger quantity, like 100 or more, you really want to use the step-by-step mail merge wizard. So you want to go ahead and do that. Now, when you're using mail merge, I've learned through experience is that you want to make sure to close all your other software applications, closed your internet window, just close everything except for Microsoft Word, because mail merge seems to take up a lot of, you know, computer power or brain power in the computer. So you're more likely to run into problems where the computer freezes when you're using mail merge, because it just seems to use up a lot of power. So close all your windows, just have mail merge open is your best bet. And then I'm going to click on Start Mail Merge, step-by-step wizard, and you'll see, actually I already did that. You'll see we have the Mail Merge option menu here on the right-hand side. For this exercise, we're going to do labels. And then now that I've selected labels, there at the bottom it says step 1 of 6. So you'll note that you don't want to do Mail Merge unless you're using a laptop or a desktop computer. It is not something you would want to do on a cell phone or small tablet. I mean, possibly a large tablet with a keyboard, you might be able to get away with that, but you definitely want a keyboard and you want a big screen. So don't try to do this on a cell phone. It would be a nightmare. And then you'll see here, there's the option change document layout, and it has label options. So this is where you would want to look at your box of labels and determine what labels you're using. So you'll see they have lots of templates here. They have Microsoft, 3M, but for today, I am going to be using Avery, US Letter, and they have a lot of templates here. So I actually have a number that I've already selected because the original template I wanted was too small. So you got to make sure that the labels are big enough to fit, like a mailing address, like the name of a business, the name of a person, the street, and the city and zip, if you wanted to mail this to people. And remember, if you have a list of Christmas, Hanukkah list, you could also use it for that too. So you can use it for personal reasons too, if you're going to mail out holiday cards. So this could be very helpful for that as well. So the template I used it starts with 48160. That's 48160. So it's going to be in the kind of the 400s area or 4000s area. So I'm going to scroll down through this list. Okay. Oh, I went probably too far. There we go. So it kind of goes like, the 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s. So 400 is kind of near the middle area. And so the number I'm picking is going to be 48160. Yeah, there it is. So I picked the eco-friendly address labels. And you'll see it tells you on the side here that it's 1 inch height and 2.63 width. So that's something to note. That's very important to make sure you get the right label for your needs. I wouldn't go any smaller than this or you're going to run into problems. Honestly, probably a row height of 1.5 would have been better. But those are the labels I have. And then I'm going to the bottom here where it says step 2 of 6 and select next, select recipients. So this is the fun part where we actually get to use our Microsoft Excel spreadsheet that hopefully you created or downloaded from Google Docs. So I selected browse. So this weird my data source CQL stuff shows up. So what you have to do is find your file. So I saved my file to the desktop. I saved it to the documents. So wherever you saved it, downloads, desktop, those are usually the common areas people save it. But I saved it to documents or downloads or desktop. Check those folders. So you see here, I have nothing on my desk. I only have this folder, but I'm going to go to documents because that's where I saved mine. So just check those folders. Banks in Fort Lauderdale is the option I select and hit open. And usually it's a summary or business or something like that. But you'll see here that first row of data contains column headers. So I made sure to select that because my Excel spreadsheet does have headers like, executive name and street address and stuff. And I click OK. And then here it gives me a kind of a preview of the list. And if I scroll through this list and I see any problems, if I uncheck a box, it will not include that in the list. But all of these look correct to me, so I'm going to make sure they're all check marked. And if I wanted to, I could click here on find duplicates. And then it would say, it's kind of suggests potential duplicates of addresses that are maybe similar or names that are similar. But to me, all these addresses look unique enough that I don't really see any duplicates. So I'm just going to hit OK. But that's just a good thing to do if you want to save money on, paper or, labels and ink and envelopes. And I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And then you'll see here this next record thing shows up. And this is where things get fun in mail merge. I know there's so many steps involved with mail merge, so don't worry. I do go through these steps in the class handout. And you can either download that from Google Docs, from Google Drive, or I can email it to you later. So don't stress, because I don't know, mail merge. I had to do this several times, and I was like, oh my goodness. You just never know what issues you might run into. So now that I've done this, I'm going to go ahead and click on Next, Arrange Your Labels. And this is where the fun begins. So you'll see in the first text box, you can't really see anything. Like the table, basically it creates a table, especially when you're doing the label one, creates a table. And you'll see that you can't really see the table unless you highlight it. And you don't want to, because if you add lines, then the labels will print out with lines on them. But I'm selecting the first cell in the table, which my cursor is kind of blinking in there. This little icon here allows you to select all, so you can make all your changes to the table. But I'm just going to select inside the first cell here. It's very important you select the first cell here. And I'm going to select address block. So on the far right side, where they have the mail merge menu, I'm going to select address block. And then it kind of asks you, it kind of gives you a nice preview here in this little window of what the address block will look like. And to me, that looks okay. Typically, I'm just putting the titles of the banks because I may not, know the executives directly. So bank titles and business names are fine. And all these boxes here, I think, are good to be checkmarked for this exercise and possibly for most projects that you might do in the future. And you click OK, and you'll see it says address block. Now you'll notice everything else says next record. So if I want to apply and make sure that all my labels show up, I have to go back to the right here where the mail merge menu is and select update all labels. And then now it will have address block on all of them. And if I was really paranoid, I could go up here. You'll see where it says mailings. I could click here on preview results. And there it is. I was able to preview the results by just clicking on that button there in the mailings menu here. So it looks pretty good to me, but let's go ahead and click on next, preview your labels. And it actually worked out okay. But let's, for example, pretend that you were afraid, the content would be cut off, like maybe the text was too big for the label. You could go here to this button and select all the labels on the page, and you could potentially change the text font style and the size. So if you wanted to, you can make it a little bit smaller or a little bit larger, but in this case, we're just going a little bit smaller. Now in the table tools, I tried to play with this, but it gave me trouble. But there is a thing here for alignment in the table tools layout. Now this thing is supposedly saying that it's at the top of the label. To me, it doesn't look like it's at the top, but I'm just not going to fight it. I'm just going to go with it. But you could play with these settings. You'll see you can center it and stuff. So you could play with these settings if things weren't working out for you. And then remember, you could go to the home ribbon and select, the font style that you want and the text size that you need. But you'll see, that looks good. Like it doesn't look like any of the text is being cut off, because if the mailman can't read the address, then, he's not going to send it, or mail person. And then I'm going to go ahead and select next, complete the merge. And then this is where you can go and, you can print your documents and you select your printer, whatever it may be. And you kind of have to experiment with your own label paper and figure out how best to insert the label paper. So you might do like a test run before you do the real thing with the label paper, just to make sure that it prints correctly and you don't waste too much label paper because that stuff can be expensive. So this is to do mail merge for labels. And remember, this would be kind of similar for the letters. It's just that you would have to pick like a different, you wouldn't pick the labels, you'd pick an envelope size. And so now we're going to do what we would do mail merge for letters. So let's say you had a letter that you needed to send to all your customers or your clients, or if you were doing this for personal reasons, you wanted to send a holiday update letter telling your friends and family about what your family has been doing the last year since you've sent out a holiday card. We're going to do that. So I'm going to go for now, and then you can try to save this information if you like. But the mail merge doesn't really work so well with the saving part. But I could go here and I'm going to go ahead and save this real quick. And I'm going to call it bank labels 2, because I've already created a bank labels 1, so I'll do bank labels 2. And in the meantime, what I'm going to do now is if I wanted, I needed to send a letter to everybody, I would go to File and New. And in this case, I'm just going to start with the blank document because we're going to be using mail merge again because mail merge is the way to go if you want to send letters to like 100 people or more. And I'm going to go back to mailings. So you'll notice that some of the steps are kind of similar. And I'm going to go to start mail merge again. And then I'm going to select step-by-step mail merge wizard. And in this case, I'm going to keep letters as the option. You'll see the far right, we have the mail merge menu. And I'm going to select next starting mail merge. So I'm going to, since I want to use a nice letter template, now if I already had a letter, I would probably just select use current document if I already had a letter created. But since I don't, I'm going to go ahead and use start from a template and select the template. And you'll see here it's set on general, but I'm going to select the letters tab and the timeless letter. But you know, when you're on your own, you could select whatever letter works for you. But just to keep it simple for this exercise, I recommend for the first time around, let's just select timeless letter. And I'm going to click OK. And then I have a nice letter template. Now, before you start the mail merge, you would want to highlight the body of the letter and type or copy and paste whatever information you wanted to put in the letter. The other things you need to update is you need to make sure you update your business address and either delete the logo or replace it with a better logo. I don't have a logo, so I'm probably going to delete it. And you also want to make sure you put your name and job title in there. So for the purposes of this exercise, if you had a logo that you wanted to insert, you could go to the insert menu here and you could go to pictures and then you would like find your logo wherever it was. You'll see I have a lot of folders here, but you know, if I had a logo, I would select it and then hit insert. In this example, I don't have a logo. So what I could do is I could actually highlight that little logo text box, go to home and do the cut option. So you see here in clipboard, I could cut, or you could press the delete key on your keyboard when that text box is selected. So just remember, you select that logo, replace with logo. We're going to cut it because we don't have a logo at the moment. Or you can use the delete key on your keyboard if you prefer. And then here in the company name area, we're just going to make up a fake company name. You don't need a real company name here. I used for the exercise that's in the handout is ABC. Type the name of whatever company, you can put Acme Company or whatever. ABC Computer Technologies. And then what I'm going to do after that is I'm going to highlight the address area and type in the fake address, 555 Andrews Avenue, 305, you know, for the apartment number, 954. And so you put in whatever address and phone number there is for your business or personal information that you want to share. This is a personal letter. So I'm just making up some bogus numbers here. And then you would, of course, you know, there's an option here. You highlight the email area and you could type in, you know, oh, maybe I could do CEO at abccomputertech.com. Remember, this is all fake information. It's not a real business. And then I could also put in the website address, I put ABC, I put ABS. I meant to do ABC computertech.com. And then here you'll have to make sure you want to select the date. So whatever date you plan on sending the letter. So let's just pretend we're going to send it today. So then I would make sure to click here to select the date. And then I could type October 26, 2020. We're not going to worry about this part yet. We're going to go down here to the closing or signature area. So I don't really want my name listed like that. I think that looks kind of silly. So I'm going to put in the sample name, which is Sally sample. So you would put in your name and whatever title you want to go to, and I'm just going to type Vice President of Customer Service. So just make sure you get that information done first, because once you do the mail merge stuff, you want all the letters to pretty much have the same information. The only thing that changes is the recipient name and recipient address is really the only information that changes in the letter, because you're basically sending the same letter to all your clients or customers or family members. So in this case, in this template, I don't really need recipient name. So I'm going to delete that. And you'll see where it says recipient street address. This part I do need. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the mail merge menu, which is on the far right here. And I'm step 2 of 6 and select recipients. And this is where things get a lot of fun. So you see how I have this recipient address area selected? I'm going to hit the delete key to delete it on my keyboard, or you could use the cut option from your home menu. Either option would work. And we're using an existing list. So I'm going to browse, and then you'll see the CQL stuff comes up. In this case, remember, I saved my list documents. So wherever you saved your banks in Fort Lauderdale list, you want to find it. Hopefully it's on your desktop or the downloads folder or documents. And then you would select banks in Fort Lauderdale. And you'll see it says summary. And, ooh, is this doing everything? Let's see. Okay, so I selected, okay, good. So I hit OK and I selected my list of, titles and addresses and things. And then I'm going to select the next option in the mail merge menu, step 3 of 6. Next, write your letter. And this is where we put the address block. Okay, so this is the address block. So the first address at the top is, of course, our business address. So if they need to contact us, they have our information. Oh, and then I just realized I forgot to put the city of our, I just remembered that. So it's good I remembered it now. Huh. Oh, I had a typo in Fort Lauderdale. Okay, there we go. So I'm glad I noticed that now before we apply all the changes. So there's the address block. So it doesn't really look very exciting, but if you click on the preview results, it shows you the address. So that's good. And you'll see here it says Dear Recipient. I'm going to highlight that area and hit the delete key. And then it looks like I missed a space here, but I still want to keep a space here. So I'm going to hit the enter key and then go back with my arrow key. So I'm just using the arrow key on your keyboard, or you could use the mouse. And now I want to do the greeting line. So you'll see here on the right side in the mail merge menu, under address block is the greeting line. So I'm going to click on that. And I want this to be a formal greeting. So I'm going to use the colon instead of a comma. And instead of dear sir or ma'am, I'm going to use to whom it may concern. So if they're able to find the executive or the person's name, it's going to put dear whoever, Mr. and Mrs. whatever. But if they can't find a name, like from the spreadsheet, there isn't a name of a person, they're going to use to whom it may concern instead. And then you'll see they show you an example, like a preview, and then I hit OK. And there's my greeting line. And if I click on preview, it shows that the address and the greeting to whom it may concern shows up. And I also can click here on these arrow buttons here, and I can see the different things. And I even have an option. I can, check for errors, complete the mail merge, pause and report. So I wouldn't want to do complete mail merge until I've made sure that, my address here looks correct, the date looks correct, and the closing signature area looks correct. And it does. So then I can click check for errors, complete the merge, pausing to report any errors that occur, and I hit OK. Hopefully you won't have any errors, and hopefully your computer won't freeze. There's a saying, mail merge takes up a lot of power and energy on the computer, so you want to make sure you close out of your other applications that you might have open. Now, of course, you want to stay logged into WebEx if you're trying to follow along and do these exercises yourself. But okay, so it looks like we're good to go. And then you'll see all the letters. The address is different. It's addressed to a different business. So that's good. So for overall, this mail merge worked well. So you just have to make sure if there's any special paper you're going to use to send out these letters, that you would put that paper in your printer before you hit, file and print. In this case, I'm not going to hit print because I don't need to print this. And if you wanted to, you could save. You just go to File, Save As, and I'm going to put it back in my documents, and I'll just say bank letters, or I could put bank client letters. So you can see how this could be very useful as long as you have an Excel spreadsheet. And even if, let's say, you had an Access database spreadsheet, if you could convert your Access database spreadsheet into an Excel file, then you can use it and do a mail merge. I haven't really tried doing the mail merge with an Access data file, but you can, I know, if you open up Microsoft Access, the database software, that you can convert a spreadsheet and create an Excel spreadsheet. I know that is possible. But Excel seems to work best with the addresses and phone numbers and names of people. Oh, I wanted to review some things about, so we covered a lot of information. Don't worry, we're going to have a Q&A session and everything because, mail merge is not easy. Okay, I'll call it. Okay, I guess it wants to save it again. Actually, I already saved it, so I'm just going to hit, I've already saved it. So this is the copy of the exercise where I do step-by-step screenshots. There it is, banks in Fort Lauderdale. So if you have trouble getting the handout, just make sure to email us at cybrary@broward.org. And you see, I kind of go step by step. So there's a lot of good screenshots here. But I'm wanting to get to the bottom of the page and talk about our additional tutorials that we have. So I'm going to briefly talk about LinkedIn Learning. It is a great resource. It has so many great tutorials. If you want to become an expert in Microsoft Word or Excel or PowerPoint or whatever, it has great resources for that. It has like the whole Microsoft Office stuff. And you would want to, basically, if you already have a Broward County Library card, and I know Justin has put the link to the Instant e-card in the chat box probably more than once. Well, if you already have the Broward County e-card, if you already have a Broward card, like let's say you already have a physical library card, that works for the e-resources as well. So if you have a Broward County Library card, you just use that, and then you would want to register for the NSU e-card if you haven't already done so. Now, if you've already used Reference USA before, you don't have to really worry about it because you've already done it. But let me see, I'm going to share my screen here and make sure it's hopefully sharing the right thing. So when you're in the Nova website here, you would select Get an e-card, and then you would select Get an e-card again, and then you would type your library barcode, which is the D0 and whatever the rest of the number is. Remember, D is the only letter in the library card number. After that is 0, and then everyone else has unique numbers after that, and then you would type in, your last name, and then your last 4 of your phone number or your PIN number. You kind of experiment with both of those. If you have trouble logging into this, then you could call one of the local branches. You just go to our website, broward.org/library, and then they also have, the list of the branches if you have any trouble with this. I'll go ahead and open up. So here it is, Broward County Library website, research. And for the LinkedIn Learning, you would actually go to education. So for the reference resource we talked about where we got the addresses, I almost wanted to say Reference USA, but I think it's reference sources. I would go to business and law, but in this case, I'm going to go to education. I think it's under education. It's either business and law or education, one of them. Let me try education first. Okay, it takes a moment to load. And you'll note here on education, if you know anybody who needs tutoring, adults and children, we have the Adult Learning Center from BrainFuse. They have the Broward eTutor for the K through 12 students. They're all part of the BrainFuse package, and that has free online tutoring virtually through chat and stuff. And it's very, very helpful for adults who are looking for jobs and need help with a resume and stuff, and also for children and students in college. Let's see, LinkedIn Learning. Yay, there it is, LinkedIn Learning. And then I would type in my last name, and then I would type in my library card number, which I haven't memorized my library card number yet, so I'm grabbing it real quick here. But everyone's library card number starts with a D0. Okay, let me just type that again to make sure. The D does not have to be capitalized, but the numbers do have to be correct. It's very picky about that. So this works when especially when you're offsite and you're not inside the library. Now, when you start a new account, it'll ask you to kind of create a username and password and things of that nature, but I'm already logged in. And then you'll see that I can type in, like, Microsoft Office, or in this case, I'll do Excel. And they have lots of great Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word tutorials, Learning Excel 2019, Learning Office 365. And you'll see they have like an 8-hour course on Excel. I don't know if I would like to torture myself that way, but they do have an 8-hour course, but they have hour courses and 2-hour courses. So there's a lot of different things. I wonder if they have a mail merge. I don't know if they have a mail merge tutorial. Oh, good. So they have mail merge too. So if you want a review or practice or more in depth, they have like almost a 2.5 hour mail merge class for 2016. So that's a really great resource. So definitely take advantage of LinkedIn Learning. And the class handout on the last 2 pages has the directions on how to access it. The other resource I like to mention is the Goodwill Community Foundation from GCF Learn Free. And I love them. I absolutely love them. Like, they have so many great tutorials, and I just try to promote it to everybody that I can. I mean, LinkedIn Learning is great. It goes into more advanced stuff. But if you're dealing, maybe you wanted to share this information with somebody who's not super tech savvy, or maybe all the stuff I talked about is a little complex for you, I would recommend GCF Learn Free. And it doesn't require a library card. You just go directly to the website, gcflearnfree.org. Library card is not required. And of course, it's taking a while to load when I wanted to show you. Normally it loads much quicker. Okay, so let me I'll try one of these links. So what's really great is even the Goodwill Community Foundation, they have mail merge tutorials for Office 2013 and 2016. So let's see, I'm going to go ahead and try this again. There it is. Yay. So you see, and what's cool is it comes with videos, and then they even have their own practice document and address list. So if you wanted to try an additional mail merge tutorial to get more comfortable with it, they have one here as well.
Thank you for watching this video. If you want the class notes or have additional questions, then please email cybrary@broward.org. I recommend adding an email subject such as mail merge. If you have library, ebook, and other reference questions, then please contact your local library branch. And best of luck with the mail merge process.